Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. The most dangerous lies are the ones people tell themselves, because a Sigma female will hear them louder than the truth. There's something quietly unsettling about a woman who can read you faster than you can assemble your excuses. Psychologists call it high interpersonal accuracy, a rare ability only 3% of people naturally possess. But Sigma females don't just possess it, they weaponize it without even trying. While everyone else is out here fumbling through social deception like it's an Olympic sport, the Sigma female is sitting in the corner, sipping her drink, watching people expose themselves like free entertainment. And the funniest part? Half the time, she's not even trying. She's just built that way, like a human lie detector wrapped in mystery and dry humor. If most people rely on intuition, Sigma females rely on something deeper, a psychological radar that picks up tension, inconsistencies, emotional glitches, and those tiny "why did you blink too long" moments that reveal everything someone is trying to hide. So when people try to fool her, whether with charm, theatrics, half-truths, or emotional gymnastics, they don't realize she's already 5 steps ahead, mentally highlighting their story like a faulty script. It's not magic, it's precision, it's perception, it's that unnerving Sigma calm that makes liars sweat without knowing why. This is why no one, and I mean no one, can fool a Sigma female. And today, we're going to unravel the exact signs that prove she knows far more than anyone thinks, and probably more than she'll ever admit. Number 1, she notices who you are around others. A Sigma female pays attention to something most people overlook, how you shift depending on the company you keep. She isn't impressed by your best version or fooled by your curated personality. What interests her is the subtle shift in your tone, the slight adjustment in your posture, the new vocabulary you suddenly adopt when certain people walk in. She watches how your energy stretches, shrinks, or bends, and in those moments, she learns more about you than you'll ever say out loud. People who try to fool her often forget this simple truth. Consistency exposes character. If you're gentle with her but harsh with others, she sees the imbalance. If you're confident around your friends but insecure around strangers, she catches it immediately. If you suddenly act smarter, cooler, or more charming, depending on who's watching, she recognizes it as performance, not authenticity. What makes her perception so razor-sharp is that she's not judging, she's observing. She isn't looking for flaws or trying to catch anyone in a lie. She's simply reading the real you that leaks out when you're not paying attention. Every person has multiple versions of themselves, but a Sigma female focuses on the patterns behind those versions. She can tell which behaviors are natural and which ones you switch on like a light. She sees when you're trying too hard, when you're trying too little, and when you're trying to hide who you actually are. She also pays attention to your social courage, how you treat someone who can't give you anything, how you behave when no one important is around, how your voice changes when you're trying to impress. These small shifts reveal your intentions, your insecurities, and your priorities long before you ever explain them. And she doesn't forget. Not because she's keeping score, but because your behavior becomes a mental map she uses to understand your integrity. The funniest part is that people don't even know she's watching. They only realize she figured them out when she quietly steps back, becomes colder, or stops giving them access. By then, it's too late. She already saw who they were when they thought she wasn't looking. Number 2, she sees the emotional footprints of your choices. A Sigma female doesn't need you to confess what you've done. She reads the emotional aftermath you leave behind. Every choice a person makes leaves a trail, subtle changes in mood, behavior, energy, or expression, and she notices all of it without putting in any extra effort. People think they can hide their actions, but they forget that guilt, relief, fear, excitement, or hesitation always show up before the words do. And to her, those emotional footprints are louder than any explanation. When someone says they're fine, but their eyes avoid hers, she hears what they're not saying. When a person suddenly becomes overly helpful or overly calm, she recognizes it as emotional overcompensation. When someone avoids certain topics or becomes defensive for no clear reason, she knows there's a decision behind that tension. She connects the dots quickly because she pays attention to the emotional residue people carry, whether they mean to or not. What makes her so difficult to fool is that she relies on patterns, not stories. Choices shape emotions, and emotions shape behavior. And because she tracks the behavior, she doesn't need the backstory to know something's off. She notices when someone's energy shifts in a way that doesn't match the situation. She senses when someone is forcing jokes to hide nervousness, or when someone acts too relaxed after doing something they don't want exposed. Large actions leave big footprints, but even small decisions leave enough emotional dust for her to read. She also understands timing better than most. If a person returns with a different mood, acts jumpy, or suddenly becomes overly sweet, she mentally compares it to how they were before. That mismatch tells her what their words don't. She won't accuse, shout, or chase answers. She simply absorbs the truth through the emotional signals you leak. And she won't confront you right away. Instead, she watches if your behavior confirms what she already sensed. By the time she withdraws or changes how she interacts with you, it's because she followed the emotional footprints back to the truth you thought you buried. The truth was always there, carried in the emotions you couldn't hide. Number 3, she doesn't seek to expose you. She simply adjusts. A Sigma female doesn't feel the need to call someone out the moment she sees through them. She doesn't confront every lie, fake smile, or manipulative move. Instead, she observes, processes, and recalibrates her approach quietly, almost invisibly. This is what makes her so dangerous to those who try to deceive her. They think they've slipped by unnoticed, when in reality, she has already rewritten the rules of how she interacts with them. She adjusts her trust first. If someone shows inconsistency, self-interest, or deceit, she doesn't throw accusations or create drama. She simply shifts her mental and emotional boundaries. Her behavior doesn't scream, "I know what you're doing." It's subtle but firm, like a tide changing silently under the surface. By the time the person realizes she's no longer fully accessible, it's too late. She has already protected herself, leaving the other person in a space they can't control. Her adjustment is strategic. She reads the person's energy, watches for patterns, and quietly limits exposure to anything that could be harmful or manipulative. She's constantly testing and updating her map of who people are, and once a line is crossed, she doesn't negotiate, she just recalibrates. It's not about revenge or showing off her insight, it's about survival and clarity. She also adjusts her emotional investment. People who are manipulative, dishonest, or shallow might feel like they're still in control because she doesn't confront them. But the truth is, she has already decided how much of herself they can access. Conversations, time, attention, all of it becomes measured, intentional, and almost surgical in its precision. This is why so few realize they can't fool her. Sigma females operate with quiet authority. They don't need to expose you to prove they understand you. They simply change the game, adapt to the truth, and continue forward. By the time anyone notices, she's already moved past the illusion they tried to create, leaving them trapped in the consequences of their own miscalculation. Her power lies in discretion, observation, and an unwavering sense of self. She doesn't just see through you, She rearranges her world around the fact that she knows. Number 4. She tests you without you realizing you're being tested. A Sigma female has a quiet way of finding the truth about people without making it obvious. She doesn't need dramatic confrontations or forceful questioning. Instead, she slips small, subtle tests into everyday interactions, and most people don't even notice they're being evaluated. These micro-tests aren't meant to embarrass or trap anyone. They're a method for her to see your character, consistency, and intentions in real time. She might ask a casual question, but she's really observing your response beyond the words. How quickly do you answer? Do you over-explain? Do you hesitate? Every little detail is data to her. She notices your tone, body language, and even what you leave unsaid. The way you handle these tiny prompts shows her patterns she can't get from surface conversations. These tests are never overt. Sometimes she might deliberately share a small personal story to see if you react with empathy or self-interest. Sometimes she leaves gaps in a conversation to see if you fill them truthfully or try to spin a story. She watches how you respond under pressure, without creating pressure herself. The beauty of it is that the person being tested doesn't even realize they're under scrutiny. They think it's a normal exchange, a casual moment. The brilliance of her method is that it reveals authenticity. If you're genuine, the micro-tests confirm it quietly. If you're hiding, exaggerating, or manipulating, the gaps in your responses show up immediately. By the time most people realize they've been evaluated, the Sigma female already knows enough to adjust her trust, behavior, or emotional investment. Her tests are not just about spotting lies, they're about understanding your true priorities, your patience, your boundaries, and your moral compass. And because they're subtle, people rarely guard themselves effectively. She doesn't need to confront you with evidence. She absorbs it quietly and acts accordingly. These micro-tests are her silent strategy for navigating a world full of pretense, allowing her to separate authenticity from performance without ever revealing she's playing a far deeper game than anyone suspects. Number 5. She spots emotional noise. Before you even speak, a Sigma female has an uncanny ability to sense the energy behind words, the subtle vibrations that reveal more than what someone is actually saying. Most people speak and assume their words carry the full truth, but she doesn't need words to understand what's going on. She notices the tiny inconsistencies in tone, the hesitation before a response, the way your energy shifts even when your face and body are trying to lie. To her, these are like static on a radio signal, a form of emotional noise that she can read effortlessly. It isn't about being judgmental or hypercritical. It's about perception. She processes layers of emotional information in real time, picking up on anxiety, overconfidence, fear, or dishonesty, before the other person even realizes they're projecting it. Someone might think they're hiding their feelings behind a calm exterior, but she can feel the micro-tremors beneath the surface, the tiny signals your body and voice can't completely mask. These signals tell her far more than your carefully constructed words ever could. She also notices patterns. Over time, the smallest deviations from a person's normal emotional behavior become glaringly obvious to her. The delayed laugh, the quickened speech, the sudden pause, all of it adds up. While most people only react to the obvious lies or manipulations, she sees the hidden ripple effect that each small emotional shift leaves behind. She can tell when someone is anxious but pretending to be confident, excited but trying to appear indifferent, or guilty but trying to hide it behind charm. What makes this ability extraordinary is how natural it is for her. She doesn't have to overthink or consciously analyze. Her mind picks up emotional noise as instinctively as breathing. This allows her to act with precision, respond appropriately, and navigate social dynamics while others are still struggling to figure out the obvious. The moment someone tries to mislead her, she already knows the truth. They're broadcasting it in the subtle noise that most people never even notice. By the time words are fully spoken, she has already processed the reality behind them, giving her an almost untouchable advantage in understanding people. Number 6. She treats every interaction like a silent data extraction. A Sigma female approaches conversations and interactions differently than most people. While others are busy talking, convincing, or performing for approval, she listens and observes as if she's collecting evidence. Every word, every gesture, every pause is stored in her mind like a piece of a puzzle she's assembling silently. She doesn't need to interrogate or confront to understand someone. She absorbs everything and pieces it together without making it obvious. She notices the small, almost invisible details that reveal far more than what people say. How someone shifts their weight, the speed of their responses, the choice of words, the subtle micro-expressions that flicker across a face for a fraction of a second, all of these are clues she files away. Over time, she builds a mental map of people's behaviors, patterns, strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. To her, every interaction is an opportunity to gather more data, whether she's dealing with a stranger, a friend, or someone who thinks they can manipulate her. This method gives her a distinct advantage because she rarely acts on assumptions or guesses. She doesn't need loud confrontations to uncover deception. She relies on the accumulation of small, verifiable details. Someone might think they've fooled her with a clever story or a convincing performance, but she has already compared it to her database of observations, noticing the slightest discrepancies. She tracks these inconsistencies quietly, without ever alerting the other person that their facade is being dissected. Her ability to extract information silently also makes her extremely strategic. She can predict behaviors, anticipate motives, and decide the best way to respond or disengage. People are often unaware that she's analyzing every interaction, which allows her to stay several steps ahead in social situations. While others are distracted by appearances and words, she focuses on the patterns beneath the surface, turning every casual encounter into a comprehensive understanding of the person in front of her. By the time anyone realizes that she knew all along, it's already too late. Her silent data extraction has revealed far more than anyone thought they were giving away, and she uses that knowledge not for drama, but to navigate life with unmatched clarity and control. Number 7. She detects. When your confidence has artificial flavoring. A Sigma female can immediately sense the difference between genuine confidence and the kind that's carefully manufactured. Most people assume confidence is a matter of posture, tone, or the right words, but she knows it runs deeper than that. It's in the rhythm of your speech, the ease with which you move through a room, the subtle cues your body gives away when you're trying too hard. Fake confidence is like a perfume that doesn't quite match the person wearing it, and she can smell it from a mile away. When someone is performing confidence, there's always a tell. It could be over-explaining, an overcompensated laugh, forced charm, or constant self-justification. She notices these patterns instantly because she intuitively measures what feels natural against what feels staged. People often think their exaggerations, jokes, or grand gestures will impress her, but she isn't impressed. She's quietly cataloguing them. The effort to appear more confident than you are actually diminishes you in her eyes, even if you don't realize it. She also picks up on inconsistencies between what people say and how they act. Someone may talk boldly, claiming control or expertise, but if their micro-expressions, hesitation, or body language tells another story, she sees right through it. Genuine confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. Fake confidence shouts because it's compensating, and she has a built-in radar for those who are compensating too much. What makes her perception exceptional is that she doesn't just recognize the fake. It informs how she interacts with you. She instinctively adjusts her level of trust, attention, and emotional investment. She's not judgmental, she's practical. People who try to impress or manipulate her with feigned confidence are already behind, because she's aligned her understanding of them to reality long before they even finish their performance. In short, a Sigma female sees the real measure of a person. She doesn't fall for bravado or charm. She responds to authenticity. Your artificial confidence isn't a weapon. It's a sign she knows the truth. And once she does, your act no longer matters, because she has already recalculated her strategy, and she's moving forward with or without you in her orbit. Number 8. She's immune to flattery, because she dissects intent, not words. A Sigma female doesn't fall for compliments the way most people do. While others might be dazzled by sweet words or smooth talk, she goes deeper, analyzing the why behind what's being said rather than the words themselves. Flattery is meaningless to her unless it's rooted in genuine observation. She can instantly detect when praise is a tool for manipulation, a way to mask insecurity, or an attempt to buy favor, and it has zero effect on her. She pays attention to the subtleties that reveal intent, the timing of a compliment, the context in which it's delivered, the underlying energy. These are all signals she reads like an open book. If someone offers praise to gain an advantage, to distract or to manipulate, she knows immediately. She doesn't just hear the words, she feels the motive behind them. This makes empty charm, over-the-top admiration, or calculated flattery completely ineffective, because she's already processed the truth beneath the performance. What's fascinating is that she doesn't respond with confrontation or judgment. She doesn't need to call someone out for trying to flatter her. She simply recalibrates her perception of that person. Their words become irrelevant. She focuses instead on authenticity, how consistent their actions are with their speech. A compliment that aligns with genuine understanding or insight earns respect, but anything else is invisible to her. This ability also allows her to navigate social dynamics with unmatched clarity. She doesn't waste energy on those who are trying to manipulate her with charm or praise. She measures people by their true intentions and patterns, not the shiny facade they present. The people around her often think they're impressing her or winning her over, but in reality, she's already mapped their motives and adjusted her engagement accordingly. In essence, flattery is powerless against a Sigma female because she isn't impressed by words. She's focused on truth. Your attempts to charm, manipulate, or impress won't move her. She sees the real motives behind every gesture, and that level of perception makes her untouchable, not because she's unapproachable, but because she refuses to be fooled. Number 9. She has a truth baseline for everyone. A Sigma female doesn't take people at face value. From the moment she starts observing someone, she's quietly building a mental baseline, a detailed sense of how they speak, act, and react when they're being genuine. She notices patterns in tone, body language, decision-making, and emotional responses, and stores them almost instinctively. This baseline becomes her internal map for measuring authenticity. Once she has it, any deviation from that standard immediately raises a red flag. Most people operate under the assumption that small lies or inconsistencies go unnoticed. They believe that a carefully crafted story or a moment of self-presentation can slide under the radar. Not with a Sigma female. She compares everything against the person's baseline. A tiny hesitation, a micro-expression, a slight change in posture, all of it tells her when something is off. Over time, these deviations reveal patterns of dishonesty, insecurity, or hidden agendas that most people think are invisible. The baseline isn't rigid, it's dynamic. She updates it constantly as she observes, always looking for the natural rhythm of behavior versus the calculated performance. When someone tries to act differently to impress, manipulate, or hide a truth, she can see it instantly because it doesn't align with the person's established baseline. It's like an internal truth detector, and she doesn't need to interrogate, accuse, or pressure anyone to access it. What makes her exceptional is that she doesn't reveal the baseline. People have no idea she's tracking their authentic patterns. She quietly collects data, watches for inconsistencies, and recalibrates her trust accordingly. By the time someone realizes she knew all along, she has already made decisions about how much access, attention, or emotional energy they are allowed. In short, a Sigma female's truth baseline gives her a level of insight that is practically untouchable. While others are guessing or taking people at face value, she knows the subtle rhythms of honesty and deception. She doesn't need proof beyond what she observes, because she has already mapped the truth in every small, natural behavior and adjusted her world around it. Number 10. She doesn't argue. She observes. A Sigma female doesn't waste her energy on pointless arguments or confrontations. When someone tries to deceive her or manipulate a situation, she doesn't jump in to prove she's right or call them out. Instead, she steps back and observes, quietly taking note of every detail. This makes her incredibly dangerous to those who think they can fool her because they assume resistance is the only way she shows awareness. In reality, she's already processing far more than anyone realizes. Her observation is precise and intentional. She watches tone, body language, timing, and the subtle shifts in behavior that reveal true motives. Every word spoken, every pause, and every slip becomes information. While most people get defensive or emotional, giving away their intentions in the process, she remains calm, absorbing everything. This calmness is not passivity, it's control. She allows others to reveal themselves, almost like letting them complete their own unmasking without interference. What makes her exceptional is that she doesn't need to dominate a conversation to see the truth. People who are lying or hiding something often try harder when they sense scrutiny, giving her even more material to read. She notices the inconsistencies, the forced confidence, the hesitations that no one else would catch. While others are busy arguing or explaining themselves, she's quietly cataloging patterns and building an accurate understanding of the person before her. Her observational approach also gives her flexibility. She can choose exactly when and how to respond, or whether to respond at all. Confrontation is unnecessary because she already knows the reality, and she can operate strategically based on that knowledge. People who think they're getting away with deception don't realize they've already been mapped and evaluated. In the end, her silence and observation are more powerful than words or accusations. She doesn't need to argue, because her awareness alone shifts the dynamics. Those who attempt to deceive her unknowingly expose themselves fully under her watchful gaze. By the time anyone realizes she knew all along, it's too late. They've already revealed the truth in ways they didn't even know were visible. Number 11. She has a natural allergy to manipulative patterns. A Sigma female has an instinctive ability to recognize manipulation in all its forms, long before it becomes obvious to anyone else. She doesn't need someone to explain their tactics or prove a point. She senses the rhythm of manipulation like a subtle vibration in the air. Whether it's guilt-tripping, love-bombing, subtle gaslighting, or charm used as a weapon, she can spot it immediately. For her, manipulative behavior sets off internal alarms that don't require conscious thought. She recognizes the signs not because she's suspicious by nature, but because she reads patterns. Every attempt to control, pressure, or influence someone emotionally follows a predictable rhythm. The slight over-apology, the timed withdrawal, the strategic compliments, these are all signals she decodes instinctively. Most people think they can hide behind charm, theatrics, or calculated gestures, but she sees the mechanics behind them. She understands that manipulation isn't about what's being said, but about the intent driving the actions, and she reads that intent effortlessly. What makes her so formidable is that she doesn't react the way manipulators expect. She doesn't argue, defend, or expose. Instead, she recalibrates her approach silently. She knows when to disengage, when to observe, and when to let the manipulator reveal themselves fully without realizing they're being exposed. Her understanding of these patterns gives her a near-complete control over her own reactions, leaving manipulators frustrated because nothing they do has the intended effect. Her immunity isn't learned, it's instinctive. People trying to manipulate her often feel drained or confused because their usual tactics fail. She treats manipulative behavior like static, noticeable, irritating, but irrelevant to her trajectory. She simply moves forward with clarity, keeping her distance or limiting engagement. In essence, a Sigma female's natural allergy to manipulation makes her untouchable in situations where others might fall victim. She doesn't just detect deceit or control attempts, she neutralizes their impact without effort, seeing the person's motives clearly and adjusting her world accordingly. Manipulation fails before it even begins, because she has already mapped the pattern and decided how to respond. Number 12. She recognizes when you're acting out of character, even slightly. A Sigma female has an uncanny ability to notice when someone isn't behaving like themselves. Even the smallest shift, a fleeting change in tone, a micro-expression, a posture that doesn't feel natural, catches her attention instantly. Most people assume that minor deviations go unnoticed, but she processes these subtle signals like a radar scanning for inconsistencies. She doesn't need dramatic lies or obvious actions. The tiniest misalignment between who you are and who you're pretending to be is enough for her to know something is off. This skill is powerful because it goes beyond surface-level perception. She isn't just watching actions, she's feeling energy, reading emotions, and analyzing intentions all at once. When someone tries to present a version of themselves that isn't authentic, whether to impress, manipulate, or hide something, she detects the internal friction that comes with it. Fake behavior carries a tension that she intuitively senses, a subtle dissonance between what is displayed and what is natural. Her awareness isn't aggressive or confrontational. She doesn't need to call out the out-of-character behavior. Instead, she quietly observes, filing the deviation away as part of a larger pattern. Over time, these observations create a detailed map of a person's true character versus their performed self. People often feel exposed around her, even when nothing is said, because she notices these inconsistencies and understands their significance. This ability allows her to navigate relationships and social dynamics with precision. She knows who can be trusted, who is pretending, and who is hiding something important. Acting out of character, even subtly, is like leaving a breadcrumb trail she can follow to the truth. In essence, a Sigma female's perception of authenticity is unmatched. While others might be fooled by appearances or words, she sees through them effortlessly. She doesn't just notice when you act differently. She understands why and what it means. By the time anyone realizes she knows, she has already adjusted her trust, distance, and engagement, leaving the truth quietly acknowledged and the deceiver powerless. In the world of perception and subtle power, a Sigma female stands on a level that few can even comprehend. She doesn't need to confront, accuse, or dramatize to know the truth. She simply observes, deciphers, and adjusts with an unmatched clarity. Every glance, every pause, every unspoken word is data for her, revealing motives, intentions, and hidden truths that most people spend their lives trying to hide. From recognizing emotional noise to decoding patterns of behavior, from spotting fake confidence to detecting manipulative tactics, she moves through the world with an almost invisible radar, mapping authenticity and deception with surgical precision. What makes her truly formidable is not just her perception, but her strategy. She doesn't expose, she adapts. She doesn't argue, she observes. She doesn't need to dominate conversations to control outcomes. Her understanding alone shifts dynamics in ways others fail to notice until it's too late. People who try to manipulate, impress, or deceive her often don't realize their own behaviors are revealing more than they intended. By the time they grasp that she knew all along, the truth has already recalibrated her boundaries, her trust, and her engagement, and she continues forward, unshaken, unbothered, and fully in control. Sigma females operate in silence, yet their awareness is deafening. Their strength isn't loud or performative. It's precise, intelligent, and almost surgical in its execution. They see through facades, decode hidden motives, and navigate social landscapes with an instinctive understanding that leaves those around them exposed without a single word being spoken. To underestimate a Sigma female is to underestimate the power of perception, intuition, and unshakable self-possession. If you found yourself intrigued, captivated, or even a little unnerved by these insights into the Sigma female, make sure you don't miss what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button to stay connected. Like this video, if it opened your eyes to new truths, comment below with your thoughts or experiences, and share this with anyone who needs to understand the quiet but unstoppable power of a Sigma female. Stay alert, stay aware, and always pay attention, because the world is full of subtle truths, and a Sigma female already knows them all.